Hi everybody, welcome back to My Hips Don't Lie with Debora Utley, bonus edition. So I got quite a few messages today that I have not in fact told you about my little shoplifting hijinks. So I was talking about it in my episode today, and I realized that I really hadn't told you the whole story. So I've had a few people ask. So I'm down here for a few more hours today, and like an hour and a half left. And so I thought I owed you a little explanation. So when I was 11, and this was the time that I was with my first family that I told you about today, I would often spend every weekend with my grandma. And she lived walking distance from a Walgreens. So, again, I didn't have any money. I didn't have an allowance. I didn't make anything. But I wanted literally everything in the store. Mostly makeup. L'Oreal had this amazing pink blush color called Bébé, and it was spelled B-E with an accent aigu, B-E with an accent aigu, very French, and I had to have it. I also needed a steady supply of Lee press-on nails, and they had lots of cheap jewelry, and I wanted it all. So mostly cosmetics, fingernails, and jewelry. So I would, in an effort to get any of these said things, I would have to succumb to thievery. Whether I stole money from my grandma, not something I'm proud of, or begged her for it and got it the good way, or I would just cut out the middleman and steal directly from Walgreens. I was quite a professional at this, I am ashamed to say, and I don't think I was in there ever without taking at least a little something. And I'd figured out ways to do it and not get caught until the day that I did. Here's the mistake that I made. I think I only took like a little pair of pearl earrings that day. They were probably like $2. The mistake I made was I had not emptied my loot from the last few times that I had been here, and I still had it all in my purse. Rookie mistake. So I'm sly. I think I've made another nab, and I'm walking out of the Walgreens. And the manager follows me out and, young lady, I need you to come back in here. Instead of taking off running, which clearly with my hips being what they were, probably wouldn't have been the right decision. And ultimately, being a good girl, I turned around and followed him back in the store. He then took me and I think another salesperson into like this back office at Walgreens and asked me to empty my purse. Mortifying. So I had all kinds of crap in there. Oh, you know what else I had? I had an awesome comb. Those of you that grew up in the early mid 80s, in our back pocket of our jeans, we would have an awesome comb that would stick out. It was quite the fashion statement. I took a comb and I had that in my purse too. So obviously I had to return. Obviously they kept everything that I had in my purse. So not only did I get busted, I had to give back all my loot. And then I had to call, is there a parent you can call? No, but I'll call my grandma. So called grandma. She had to come over. And this is where my brain gets a little fuzzy. I don't remember how we got from Walgreens but we had to go like downtown. We had to go like they pressed. I don't know if they press charges. I don't know if that's what you'd call it when you're 11. But I like had to. I got caught. Like I got processed. So I remember being in another building, and I feel like we went downtown. So I don't know if it was the courthouse. I'm not exactly sure. And I remember my grandma had to like sign something or paper. I don't even know what she was signing, right? Because I was spinning. My brain was spinning. I had ruined my life, right? That's all I kept saying to myself. I've ruined my life. I'm not going to be able to go to college. I'm not going to get a job. I am a criminal. My life is over, because that's really what they tell you, right? That's how they scare you from not doing these things. So we finished whatever we were doing there, came home, and again, I don't remember coming home. I remember then being at home, and we went about our night. I think we made popcorn, or we had dinner, or whatever. We did what we always did. We watched TV, and never spoke of it again. So I clearly was banned from that Walgreens, and so I never was able to go back to that Walgreens. Even if I hadn't been banned, there's no way I would have gone back to that Walgreens, right? So couldn't go back to the Walgreens, so those days were over, and had ruined my life. So I was tortured just for, I don't even know how long I was tortured. So then, like I said in my previous video, thought I got away with it, didn't think my foster family would ever find out. And then that letter was delivered, and that was that. So I remember talking about this with my therapist, and telling her about my days as a little pickpocket. And I said, I just always come back to this. I was a bad little girl. I was just a bad girl, and I did bad things. And she, tried again to talk me off of that ledge. But basically, she's like, look, shoplifting is a rite of passage for a lot of kids. And you need to, give yourself a break and not be so hard on yourself. And which is sweet and kind, and does make me feel, a little better. And of course now, again, looking back, I was 11 years old. And I was an 11-year-old girl who had nothing and just so desperately wanted stuff. I wanted stuff. I wanted stuff that my friends had. I had an amazing best friend when I was a little girl that I met while I was at my grandmother's house. And one day I was playing outside by myself, and this little girl and little boy, my friend Lori was a year older, and Nick was a year younger than me. I was right in the middle. They came walking by, and the 80s, actually, gosh, I was probably 6 when I met Lori and Nick. They were out playing, and they lived in the neighborhood. And just stop by, hey, do you want to play? Yeah. And that was it. We were thick as thieves for, not a great phrase today, until I moved away when I was 14. And Lori and I had stayed in touch, actually. I stood up in her first wedding when I was in college. I am not in touch with her now, but I have thought of reaching out to her. I do know how to get a hold of her. So I have kind of been thinking about doing that recently, just to talk and see how she's doing, because she was such a special part of my life. Anyway, Lori and Nick never participated in my acts of thievery. I did that all by myself, and only when I was alone. But Lori had everything. I was so envious. She was an only child and had everything. And I remember one time I stole from her and I felt really terrible about it. She knew it was me and she called me on it and I gave them back. They were from Avon, which I had no access to. But they were a box, and it was like a box of crayons. And inside the crayon box were 4 lip balms or lip glosses, and they were each like a different crayon. Amazing. Had to have them. So I took them with no regard for our friendship or that they belonged to her. And so she's like, hey, did you take my lip glosses? I'm like, mm-mm. Are you sure you didn't take my lip glosses? I'm not sure. And then I gave them back. It was just a terrible habit of mine to just, hey, I want that, I'm going to take it. With no regard for the person it belonged to. She was my dearest friend. I didn't care. That's a heavy thing to eventually come to realize that, man alive, that was really shitty. What a little shit, and to look at yourself and go, yikes, that was me. I was the little shit. Doesn't feel great. It really doesn't feel great. And I, eventually stopped doing that and realized that it was, not good. Not a good quality to have, to be a thief, to take what's not yours. Fortunately, I, stopped that behavior before it did any real major damage. But it's not something I'm proud of, but it's a part of my history and what my childhood was like. There's this Bruce Willis movie, it's called The Kid. And I remember seeing it at one point, just it was a rebroadcast, so it was just on TV. And I was flipping through channels, and this was, probably 20 years ago. And I came across it, and I just kind of stayed there for a second. I do love Bruce Willis. And it kind of struck me, the premise is Bruce Willis is able to talk to himself as a kid. And I just remember being struck by the power of that, and in that moment in time just being man, I would give anything to be able to talk to my younger self. There's so much that I would tell me. Number one, stop taking stuff that doesn't belong to you. Don't be a shit. Number two, I would tell her that, hey, you'll survive this, and you're going to have an amazing life. You just got to be strong and get through this. And I would have given anything to be what that little girl needed, even for just a minute, just to hug her, to tell her to hang in there, that it gets better, and one day you'll be able to buy all of those things that you have to steal. You'll be able to buy all the blush, all the fingernails, every pair of shoes you want. You'll have more than enough Nikes. And just put her at rest and put her at ease. I would give anything for that opportunity. It's weird though, right? So anyway, thanks for keeping me in check. Thanks for letting me know that I had not told you my little adventures in thievery. And I'm really, really glad that you are joining me here and are listening to my story and really being so wonderful and supportive. So thanks for being here with me for a little bonus episode today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And I can't wait to see you next time. Take care. Bye.